My name is Jessica. I am 24 years old. I live in a small city, but I know many people here. I am a social girl. I like to talk and I like to laugh. I have many friends, and I spend a lot of time with them. Sometimes we go to the park, sometimes to a bar, and sometimes to a club. I never like to sit at home for too long, but I also have my quiet side. When I am alone, I like to watch anime. I like to see Japanese shows because they are funny and colorful. I also like video games. I play for hours when I feel bored. Most people think I am just a party girl, but I have more sides. I can stay home with a drink and play games all night. One day, I started yoga class. I wanted to try something new. My friend said it was fun, and I also wanted to be more healthy. The class was full of people, some girls, some men. It was hard for me to stay quiet, but I tried. I sat on my mat and I looked around. That was when I saw him. His name was John. At first, John looked very quiet. He stayed at the back of the class. He listened to the teacher and did not talk much. I thought he was shy, but he looked nice. He had kind eyes, and he looked serious when he did the yoga moves. After class, I went with some friends to get a drink, but John was also there, standing by the door. He looked like he wanted to say something but was not sure. I smiled at him. He smiled back. That was how we first spoke. He said, "This class is hard. My arms hurt." I laughed. "Yes, it is hard, but it will get better." It was a small talk, but I remembered it. I did not see John as one of my party friends. He was different. He seemed more quiet, more careful, but he was also nice. The next week, we talked again after class. This time, it was about hobbies. He asked me what I liked to do. I told him I liked to go out with friends, but I also liked anime and games. His face changed when I said games. "You play games?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "I play often. I like many kinds. Do you?" He smiled, and for the first time I saw a spark in his eyes. "Yes, I play a lot. I like to talk about games, but not many people understand me." I felt happy. Finally, someone in the class who liked what I liked. I thought maybe we could be friends. Maybe more. In the days after that, John and I spoke more often. We stayed after yoga to talk. Sometimes it was about games. Sometimes it was about shows we liked. He told me about the new games that were coming soon. I told him about the shows I was watching. At first it was easy. I liked the way he listened. Many people just wait for their turn to talk. But John looked at me and listened to every word. It made me feel important. One evening, he asked if I wanted to meet outside class. I said yes. We went to a small cafe. It was quiet, not like the places I usually went, with my friends. But it was nice. We sat and talked for a long time. I learned more about him. He liked sports. He liked history and politics too. He liked to talk about big ideas, things that I did not always know about. but I liked to hear him speak. He had energy when he talked. He cared about what he said. I told him about my friends and my life. He smiled at my stories. He laughed when I told him about the silly things we did at parties. I thought maybe we were different, but that was not always bad. When I went home that night, I felt excited. I wanted to see him again. I thought maybe this could be something special. We met again soon. This time, we went for a walk in the park. The air was cool and the trees were green. We walked slowly and talked. John told me more about his past, his family, and his hobbies. I told him more about mine. We were learning about each other step by step. That night when I was in bed, I thought about him. I thought about his eyes, his smile, and the way he looked at me when I spoke. It felt nice. I felt warm inside. The next weeks passed quickly. We saw each other often, sometimes at class, sometimes outside. We watched a movie together. We played a game together one weekend. I felt close to him, but I also started to see small things. He liked to talk about history and government. I did not know much about those things. When he spoke, I smiled and listened, but I could not add much. I worried if he thought I was not smart enough. Still, he never made me feel bad. He said, "I like when you listen. You make me feel like my words matter." That made me happy. I told him, "I like when you smile. You look different, softer." He laughed and said I made him smile more than before. It felt good. It felt like maybe this was the start of something. I thought maybe I had found someone who could see more of me than just the girl who loved parties. At the same time, I started to spend less time with my other friends. They asked me, "Where are you these days, Jessica?" I only smiled and said, "I am busy." In truth, I was busy with John. I did not know where it was going, but I felt excited. I had not felt this way before. Maybe this was love, I thought. Maybe John was the one. Before I continue my story, please subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. The first months with John were nice. We saw each other often. I was happy when I was with him. We laughed, we shared stories, and we played games together. It felt new and fun. I thought maybe this was real love. He was not like other men I had known. He was not loud or too proud. He was calm and careful. He liked to think before he spoke. He did not drink much, and he did not go out often. At first, I liked that. It made him different from my other friends. One Saturday, he came to my apartment. I made food, and we played games on my console. We laughed so much when we both lost. He said, "You are better than I thought." I smiled and said, "You are not as good as you said." We laughed again. It felt simple. But later that night, he wanted to talk about sports. He asked, "Do you watch baseball?" I shook my head. "Not really." He asked again, Basketball? I said, No. I like dancing in clubs, not sports. He looked a little sad but tried to smile. I like to watch with someone. Maybe one day you can try. I agreed, but in my heart I knew I was not interested. The next week, he told me about history. He spoke about old wars and leaders. I listened, but I did not understand much. When he finished, I said, That is nice. He smiled, but I felt he wanted more from me. He wanted me to talk back, but I could not. I did not know enough. I started to feel a small wall between us. We had games, yes. We had fun, yes. But when he wanted to talk deep, I could not join. I felt quiet. He looked a little lonely when I could not say much. One evening I asked him, Do you think I am not smart? He looked at me, surprised. No, never. You are smart in your own way. You know people. You know how to have fun. I like that about you. His words helped me, but I still felt unsure. Another time we went to a bar with my friends. I wanted him to meet them. I was excited to show him my world. My friends were loud and happy. They laughed, they sang, they danced. I was in my element, but John sat quiet. He smiled, but he did not join much. One of my friends asked me later, Why is he so quiet? Does he not like us? I did not know what to say. When the night ended, John walked me home. He said, Your friends are nice, but I felt lost. I did not know what to say. I touched his hand and said, It is okay. You are different. That is why I like you. He smiled, but I saw a little worry in his eyes. The weeks passed. Sometimes we were very close. Sometimes we were far. He tried to bring me into his world with sports and books. I tried to bring him into mine with parties and friends, but it did not always work. One weekend, he asked me to join him at a baseball game. I said yes, even if I did not like sports. I wanted to make him happy. We sat in the big stadium. People cheered, music played, and the game started. He was excited. He explained the rules to me. I tried to listen, but after some time I felt bored. I looked at the people around, not the game. He looked at me and asked, Are you okay? I said, Yes, I am fine. But he knew I was not. Later he said, You do not like it, do you? I felt bad. No, I am sorry. I tried. He touched my hand. It is okay. I am glad you came. His words were kind, but I felt I had failed him. After that, I wanted to show him my world again. I asked him to come dancing. He agreed. We went to a club. The music was loud. The lights were bright. I danced with him. I laughed and moved to the music. But he did not. He stayed close to the side. He said, This is too loud for me. I felt sad. I wanted him to join, but he could not. When we went home, he said, "I am sorry. I am not good at this." I said, "It is okay. You tried." But inside, I felt the same as he did at the baseball game. We were different. Too different. Still, we tried again and again. We had good days too. We had long talks about shows we liked. We had nights with games and pizza. We had walks in the park. Those times felt real. They felt close. But each time, I felt a shadow. I felt that our connection was only strong when we stayed inside the small space of games and shows. Outside of that, we had less to share. One evening, I looked at him and asked, "Do you think this will last?" He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I do not know. I like you, Jessica. I like you a lot. But sometimes I feel we are too different." My heart hurt a little when he said that, but I also knew it was true. I did not want to lose him. I wanted to believe we could work. So I said, "We can try. We can learn more about each other." He smiled and said, "Yes, let's try." So we kept going. We still met for class. We still went out sometimes. But I could feel the small space between us grow bigger. I felt like I was holding something in my hands, but it was slipping away. I started to think at night, was this real love? Or was this just a hobby we shared? Did he see me as someone he could love for a long time, or just for now? The answers did not come, but the questions stayed. And deep inside, I started to fear the end. The day came when I could no longer hide my feelings. I felt it for many weeks. The space between John and me grew larger. It was like a small crack in glass that grew every day. I wanted to stop it, but I could not. One evening we met again after yoga class. He asked me if I wanted to get coffee. I said yes, even if my heart was heavy. We sat in a quiet cafe. The smell of coffee filled the room. He looked at me, and I could see the tired look in his eyes. He started to talk about a new book he was reading. I tried to listen, but my mind was far. I was not thinking about the book. I was thinking about us. I looked at his face, his smile, and I asked myself if I could see my life with him in the future. When he finished speaking, he looked at me and said, "You are very quiet tonight. Is something wrong?" I took a deep breath. "John, do you think we can really last?" He looked at me with surprise. He did not speak for a moment. Then he put his cup down. "I don't know, Jessica. I like you. I like you very much. But sometimes I feel we are not going the same way." His words hit me like a stone. I wanted him to say something else. I wanted him to say, "Yes, of course we will last." But he did not. He told me the truth, and I already knew it. I felt my eyes burn, but I held back the tears. I said, "I feel the same. I wanted this to work. I wanted to believe it. But when we are together, we only talk about games and shows. Outside of that, we are strangers. He touched my hand. You are not a stranger to me. You are important to me. But maybe we cannot give each other what we need. I felt my throat close. I wanted to speak, but the words were hard. So, what do we do now? He looked down. Maybe it is better to stop here before we hurt each other more. I felt like the world stopped. I wanted to scream. I wanted to say no, but I only whispered, "Is this goodbye?" He nodded slowly. I think it is. That night, I walked home alone. The streets were quiet, but my heart was loud. Every step felt heavy. When I reached my apartment, I sat on my bed and cried. I cried for hours. I cried because I liked him. I cried because I thought maybe he was the one. I cried because love ended before it could grow. The days after the breakup were hard. I woke up and reached for my phone, but there were no messages from him. I went to yoga class, but I did not see him there anymore. Or maybe he was there, but he stayed far away from me. I did not have the courage to look. At night, I stayed home. I turned on the TV, but I did not watch. I started games, but I could not play. Every sound, every picture reminded me of him. My friends called me. They asked me to go out. At first, I said no. I did not want to laugh or dance. I wanted to stay alone. But they did not give up. One Friday, they came to my door. Jessica, they said, we are going out. You are coming with us. I smiled a little, even if my heart was not ready. I went with them to a bar. The music played, people talked, the lights were bright. I tried to laugh. I tried to dance. For a short time, I even forgot. But when I came home, I remembered again. The silence brought him back to my mind. Weeks passed. The pain was still there, but it started to change. It was not sharp anymore. It was softer, but it stayed. I told myself, you must accept it. It is over. One evening, I sat alone with a glass of water and my console. I started a game that John and I once played together. At first, I wanted to stop. It felt too hard. But then I thought, no, this is my game too. It is not only his. So I played. I played for hours. Slowly, I started to feel joy again. Another day, I was at a small shop and saw a book. I smiled because it reminded me of him. He always told me to read more, so I bought it. At home, I tried to read. It was not easy for me, but I gave it a chance. For the first time, I felt like I was doing it for myself, not for him. I started to see a new truth. Love can be sweet, but it can also be short. Sometimes people meet and feel close, but it does not mean they will last. I thought John was the one, but he was only part of my story, not the whole story. One night, I looked at myself in the mirror. My face was tired, but I saw a new light in my eyes. I said to myself, Jessica, You loved and you lost, but you are still here. You are still strong. After that, I began to go out more. I met my friends again. I laughed again. I danced again. I was not the same as before, but I was not broken anymore. Sometimes I still thought of John. I thought of his smile when we played games. I thought of his serious face when he spoke of history. I thought of the quiet walks we had. But I also remembered the silence between us, the moments when we could not find words. I did not hate him. I could not. He did not lie to me. He did not hurt me with bad words. He was just not meant for me. Months later, I went back to yoga class. The teacher smiled at me. The room was full of people. I saw new faces. I looked around but did not see John. For a moment I felt sad. But then I thought, it is okay. Life goes on. At the end of class, I packed my mat and walked out. The air outside was fresh. I felt light. I was still single, but I was not empty. I was full of my own life again. I learned something important. Love is not only about finding the same hobbies. Love needs more. Love needs understanding, patience, and the feeling that you can share your world fully. John and I did not have that. But maybe one day I will find someone who does. Until then, I will live my life. I will laugh with my friends. I will dance when I want. I will play games and watch anime. And maybe, just maybe, I will meet someone who will not only play with me, but also stand beside me in every part of my world. I still remember John with kindness. He was my first try at real love. It did not last, but it taught me something. Love can come, and love can go. But life goes on, and so do I. We all go through hard times. But stories like this can help us feel seen. Thank you for watching, and come back for more real moments. My name is Emily. I am telling my story because I do not want other girls to make the same mistake I made. One small choice can change your life. It can break your family. It can take away your love. That is what happened to me. I was 22 years old. I lived in Madrid, Spain. My family was not rich. My father was a taxi driver. He worked day and night. My mother stitched clothes at home. She worked many hours, even when she was tired. They both gave their best. I was their only child. I was their hope for a better future. My parents wanted me to study. They dreamed that I would get a good job. They wanted me to live a life without struggle. I was lucky because I got admission to a private college. I wanted to study business management. The fees were high. My father drove longer hours to pay them. My mother sewed clothes until late at night. They made many sacrifices for me. My father always said, "Emily will have her own office. She will sit on a big chair. People will respect her." His words made me strong. I wanted to make them proud. Every morning I took a crowded bus to college. The ride was long. It was often hot and noisy, but I did not complain. I wanted to study hard. I wanted to give my parents a better life. When I was a teenager, my family decided that I would marry my uncle's son, David. He was a kind boy. He was gentle and soft-spoken. We had grown up together. He often visited our home. Over time, feelings grew between us. David would call me in the evenings. We spoke about our future. We planned to live in a small house. We even talked about names for our children. He often told me, "Emily, you are my world. I will never let you cry." I trusted him. I believed him. I thought our love was strong. I thought nothing could break it. But life changed when I went to college. I got a roommate named Sophie. She was very different from me. She was modern. She wore stylish clothes. She had a free spirit. She was bold and confident. She made many friends quickly. She had parties and late nights. Sophie's life looked exciting. She had Instagram and TikTok. She posted selfies, dances, and short videos. Many people admired her. Strangers sent her gifts online. She was always smiling and laughing. Next to her, my simple life looked dull. At first, I only watched. But slowly, I started to feel small. She looked happy, and I felt poor. She had new clothes. I had none. She had freedom. I felt stuck. One evening, Sophie spoke to me. She said, "Emily, you are beautiful. You can earn money like me. You can earn in days what others cannot earn in months. Why waste your time studying?" I laughed at first. I told her no. But inside, I felt weak. My parents were struggling to pay my college fees. My father came home tired every night. My mother's eyes were red from working long hours. I thought maybe I could help them. Maybe this was a way. A few days later, I gave in. I created a secret account online. At first, I only posted small videos. They were simple. I thought there was no harm. People liked them. Followers grew. Messages came. I felt noticed. But then Sophie pushed me more. She said, "If you want to earn real money, you must post bolder videos." At first, I said no. But later, I agreed. I told myself it was nothing serious. But deep inside, I knew this was not right. I hid everything from my parents. I hid everything from David. Only Sophie knew. Then one day, my mistake became too big to hide. I recorded a video in the hostel room. I thought it was private, but Sophie uploaded it without asking me. The video spread fast. Too fast. By evening, people from my street had seen it. That night, my father called me. His voice was broken. He only said one sentence. "You have destroyed us." I could not speak. My hands were shaking. My heart felt heavy. Soon after, David called me. His voice was full of pain. He said, "Emily, I loved you more than my life, but I cannot marry someone who chose this path." Then he hung up. I dropped the phone. My heart broke. Tears ran down my face. I wanted to scream, but no words came out. I had lost David. I had lost my parents' trust. I had lost my dignity. That night, I sat alone in my hostel room. I stared at the walls. The room felt dark and heavy. I cried until I had no more tears left. My friends stopped talking to me. Even Sophie stayed away. I felt worthless. I thought of ending everything. I thought of leaving the world. I felt there was nothing left for me. But then, one memory came to me. I remembered my father's words. "Emily will do great things." That memory stopped me. It gave me a small light in the darkness. I told myself, I can still change. I can still rise. The next morning, I deleted all my accounts. I blocked all fake friends. I packed my things and left the hostel. I moved into a small rented room. I told myself, I will start again. But it was not easy. My life was broken. My heart was broken. My family had lost their trust in me. David had left me. My friends were gone. I was alone, but I knew I had to survive. This was the beginning of my painful journey. Before I continue my story, please subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. When I left the hostel, I felt lost. I carried one bag. I had no money. I had no friends. I had no family with me. I walked through the city with heavy steps. My eyes were red from crying. My heart was broken. I found a small rented room. The walls were old. The paint was falling. The window was broken. The rent was cheap, and that was all I could afford. I paid the owner with the little money I had. I sat on the floor. I felt empty. At night, I could not sleep. The bed was hard. The room was cold. I cried into my pillow. I thought about my father. I thought about my mother. I thought about David. They all turned away from me. I asked myself again and again, why did I do it? Why did I not say no to Sophie? The next morning, I looked in the mirror. My face was pale. My eyes were swollen. But I told myself, I will not give up. I will work. I will stand again. I went out to look for a job. I walked for hours. I asked in shops. I asked in restaurants. But no one wanted me. Some people looked at me and shook their heads. Some said, "We do not need staff." I felt weak, but I did not stop. After 2 weeks, I found work in a call center. The pay was low. The hours were long. But I took it. I had no other choice. The job was hard. Every day I answered phone calls. Some people were polite. Some people shouted. Some used bad words. I tried to stay calm, but inside I cried. I often went home late at night. I lay in bed and cried silently. Still, I kept going. I told myself, this is better than the old path. This is clean work. I must continue. I saved little money each month. At first, I used it for rent and food. Sometimes I could only eat bread and tea. I missed my mother's warm meals. I missed my father's smile, but they were far away. They did not call me. They did not visit me. One evening, I sat alone with my books. I opened my old business notes. My tears fell on the pages. I wanted to study again. I wanted to finish my degree, but I had no money for fees. I decided to join evening classes. They were cheaper than full-time college. I worked in the call center during the day. I studied in the evening. I came home late at night. I was always tired. Sometimes I fell asleep on my books, but I kept trying. My health grew weak. I lost weight. My eyes looked dark. My hands shook when I picked up the phone at work. But still, I said, I must continue. This pain will not break me. Sometimes I walked past happy students. They laughed together. They bought new clothes. They went to parties. I looked at them and felt a deep ache in my heart. I once had that chance, but I lost it. I felt like an outsider. Sophie's face came to my mind often. I felt angry. She had pushed me into that world, but I also felt guilty. I made the choice myself. I could not blame her fully. I had to carry my own mistake. Months passed. Slowly, my savings grew. I was able to buy better food. I bought one nice dress for myself. When I looked at myself in that dress, I smiled for the first time in many months. But the wound in my heart was still deep. I often thought of David. Where was he now? Was he happy? Did he still think of me? One night I opened my phone and looked at his picture. Tears fell again. I whispered, I am sorry. But he was gone from my life. One winter evening I received a letter. It was from my parents. My hand shook as I opened it. The letter was short. It said, We hope you are fine. We cannot forget what you did, but you are still our daughter. I cried for hours after reading it. Their words hurt, but they also gave me a little hope. Maybe one day they would forgive me fully. Work at the call center was still hard, but I learned patience. I learned to smile even when people shouted at me. My manager once told me, Emily, you are improving. You are strong. Those words gave me courage. After 3 years of hard work, I finally finished my business degree. The day I held the certificate in my hand, I cried again. Not from pain this time, but from pride. I had done it. I had stood up again. With my degree, I searched for better work. Many doors were still closed. But one day, I saw a small empty shop near my street. It was cheap to rent. I thought of my father's old dream. He always said I would have my own office. I did not have an office, but maybe I could have a shop. I borrowed some money from a kind teacher at my evening class. I promised to pay him back. I rented the small shop. I bought pens, notebooks, and other supplies. I opened a stationery shop. The first day, I was afraid. What if no one came? But slowly, people started to buy. Children came for notebooks. Mothers came for pens. Students came for paper. I sat behind the counter and served them with a smile. I worked from morning till night. My shop was small, but it grew. Each week I added more items. I painted the walls bright blue. I put up a sign, Emily's Stationery. Neighbors began to respect me. They said, Madame Emily is hard-working. Those words warmed my heart. For the first time in years, I felt proud. But inside, scars still remained. My parents still did not visit often. They did not speak of the past. David was gone. Sometimes at night, I sat in my shop and remembered. The pain was still there. Yet I also saw hope. I told myself, this is only the start. I fell once, but now I am rising. I wiped my tears and looked at my little shop. It was more than a shop. It was my second chance. It was proof that I was not lost forever. My shop grew step by step. It was still small, but it gave me hope. I worked every day from morning until night. I cleaned the shelves. I arranged the pens and books. I counted the money carefully. Every coin was important to me. It was not just business. It was proof that I could stand again. One afternoon, a man walked into my shop. He looked simple. He was tall, with brown hair and glasses. He asked for notebooks for his students. I gave him what he needed. When he paid, he smiled and said, "Thank you, madame." His voice was kind. The next week, the same man came again. This time, he bought pencils and paper. He asked, "Do you own this shop yourself?" I said yes. He smiled. "That is very good. You must work very hard." His words touched me. It was rare for someone to notice my effort. I learned that his name was Michael. He was a school teacher. He taught history. He often came to my shop after his classes. At first, we only talked about books and pens, but slowly, we started to talk about other things. He asked about my day. He asked if I was eating well. He told me about his students and their little jokes. For a long time, I had lived in silence. My nights were dark and heavy, but Michael's visits brought small lights. His words were gentle. His smile was honest. When he left the shop, I felt a little warmer. Still, I was afraid. My past was heavy. I thought, if he knows my story, he will leave me too. He will look at me with shame. So I kept quiet. I only listened and smiled. One rainy evening, Michael stayed longer in the shop. We sat together while the rain hit the window. He said, "Emily, you look tired. You work too much. But I admire your strength." I looked at him and felt tears in my eyes. I wanted to tell him everything, but I held back. I was not ready. Weeks passed. Michael continued to visit. He always bought something small, even when he did not need it. He always found a reason to stop by. My heart slowly began to trust again. One day he said, "Emily, may I take you for coffee?" My heart raced. I wanted to say no. I wanted to stay safe. But something inside me said yes. We went to a small cafe near the market. We drank coffee and talked for hours. I laughed for the first time in years. I felt light. When he walked me back, he said, "I hope we can do this again." I smiled and said yes. We met again many times. We walked in the park. We talked about life. He told me about his family. He told me he lived alone. His parents had passed away. He had a sister who lived in another city. Finally, I decided to tell him my truth. My hands were cold. My voice shook. But I said, "Michael, I must tell you something. My past is not clean. I made mistakes. Because of them, I lost my parents' trust. I lost the man I loved. I lost respect. I do not want to lie to you." Michael was quiet. He listened to every word. My eyes filled with tears. I said, "If you want to leave now, I understand." He took a deep breath. Then he said, "Emily, your past is not who you are today. I see the woman you are now. I see your strength. I see your honesty. And that is enough for me." My heart shook. I could not stop my tears. I whispered, "Thank you." For the first time, I felt accepted. We began to see each other more. Michael was gentle. He never judged me. He respected my work. He encouraged me when I felt tired. Sometimes he helped me in the shop. Sometimes he brought food for me when I forgot to eat. Slowly, my heart healed. I started to smile more. My nights were not so lonely. I still carried pain, but it felt lighter with him near me. 1 year later, Michael asked me to marry him. He did not kneel with a big ring. He just looked into my eyes and said, "Emily, I want to share my life with you. Will you be my wife?" I cried. I remembered David. I remembered my old life. But I also saw the new life in front of me. I said yes. We married in a small ceremony. Only a few friends came. My parents did not come. They could not forget the past. Their hearts were still hurt. But they sent a short letter. It said, "We wish you well. Be happy. I read it with tears. It was not full forgiveness, but it was something. Michael and I built a simple home. We cooked together. We talked in the evenings. He respected me. He gave me peace. He never asked me about my past again. He only looked at who I was now. My shop grew bigger. With Michael's support, I opened another branch in a nearby street. People began to call me Madam Emily with respect. Children smiled when they saw me. Neighbors spoke kindly about me. I felt proud again. Still, at night, I sometimes cried silently. I thought about my father's eyes. I thought about my mother's silence. I thought about David. He had married another woman. I hoped he was happy. But in my heart, his memory stayed. I learned something important. You can rise again, but scars remain. You can build a new life, but the old pain does not disappear completely. It becomes part of you. I wanted young girls to know this truth. Do not run after fake lights. Do not betray the trust of your parents. Do not lose real love for a few moments of attention. The cost is too high. One day I told Michael, I still wish my parents could forgive me fully. He held my hand and said, give them time. Some wounds heal slowly, but they still love you. I can see it. His words gave me comfort. Years passed. Life became stable. My shops did well. Michael and I lived in peace. Sometimes my parents visited us. They sat in silence. They did not speak about the past, but they looked at me with softer eyes. My mother touched my hand one evening and said, you are strong. It was the closest she came to forgiveness. I still carry pain, but I also carry hope. My mistake almost destroyed me, but I stood again. I rebuilt my life. I found love again. And now I share my story with you. Please learn from me. Do not choose the wrong path. Do not hurt the people who love you most. Do not give your dignity away for likes and comments. Your true value is not in numbers online. Your true value is in your heart, your honesty, and your respect. Do not forget that. I rose again, but the scars will always remain. Thank you for listening to my story. If my story touched your heart, please share it with someone you care about. Like this video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories in simple English. Your support helps me continue.